Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you feel totally confused, exhausted, and just always in the wrong no matter what you try? It's this really insidious kind of psychological manipulation, a dynamic that's actually designed for you to fail. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something called paradox traps, and we are going to unpack the very architecture of these impossible situations. They demand spontaneity, but punish every choice you make. Why do the rules of the relationship seem intentionally contradictory and unwinnable? This is the dark psychological paradox of paradox traps, a system built to guarantee your defeat. And let's be really clear about this from the start. We're not talking about a simple misunderstanding. This is a calculated strategy. It's a carefully built psychological maze that has no exit. And that really gets to the heart of the matter, the question that just haunts anyone who's caught in this kind of dynamic. Why am I guaranteed to lose? It's a question that can totally eat away at your self-worth, right? It makes you feel like you're the problem. But you're not. The guarantee of failure isn't about you. It's literally built into the structure of the game. So in this explainer, we are going to dismantle that structure, piece by piece. So here's our roadmap for how we're going to do that. First, we'll look at the whole idea of the unwinnable game. Then we're going to dissect the anatomy of the trap. From there, we'll pull back the curtain on the three-stage mechanism that makes it all work. We'll explore the manipulator's motive, and most importantly, we're going to give you a toolkit for how to break free, which leads us right to our final goal, reclaiming your autonomy. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning with this core concept, the unwinnable game. Picture this. You sit down to play a game of chess. You're ready to play, you know the rules, you want to engage. But your opponent just declares that every single move you make is wrong. You move a pawn? Wrong. You move a knight? Also wrong. You can't win. In fact, you can't even play. That right there is the emotional reality of a paradox trap. It's a setup where your effort, your good intentions, your real desire to find a solution, those are the very things that get turned into a weapon against you. So if you're stuck in a game you can't win, how do you even start to fight back? Well, to get out of a maze, you first have to know you're in one. And the first step to solving any mystery is to give the problem a name. So let's look at the actual anatomy of this trap. We need to take this out of that vague, sinking feeling of frustration and turn it into a clearly defined psychological tactic we can see. And here's the official name. A paradox trap, sometimes called a double bind, is a manipulative setup where a person is given two or more demands that conflict with each other. And here's the truly nasty part. Satisfying one of those demands absolutely guarantees you will violate the other one. There is no right answer. There's no way to succeed. This isn't just some accidental slip-up in communication. It's a core tactic in gaslighting, often used by people with narcissistic traits to maintain total control. Now, what this reveals is the manipulator's real goal. See, the point isn't to solve a problem together. The goal is the trap. It's all about enforcing control by putting the other person into a state of, well, chronic cognitive paralysis. When your mind is just spinning, desperately trying to solve an impossible puzzle, all of your energy gets burned up. You have nothing left to question what's happening, to set a boundary, or even to think straight. And for the manipulator, your confusion and despair, that's their reward. It's what's known as narcissistic supply, the emotional feedback they crave to feel powerful. This slide just lays it out so perfectly. A healthy request is simple, it's empowering. Plan a fun, spontaneous date for us. It shows trust. But the conflicting mandate, that's a masterpiece of psychological sabotage. Surprise me, but only with something I would have approved of first. I mean, just think about that for a second. It's literally impossible. How can you surprise someone with something they've already pre-approved? You can't. The request for spontaneity is immediately canceled out by the demand for control. That is the essence of a paradox trap, right there in black and white. So, okay, we can identify the trap now, but how does it actually work? What's the engine that keeps this cycle of defeat going and going? It's time to look under the hood at the hidden psychological machinery, the three-stage mechanism that guarantees the person caught inside loses every single time. This whole thing operates in a relentless, repeating three-stage cycle. First comes the setup, where the manipulator lays out the conflicting mandates. This instantly creates the impossible situation, which triggers stage 2, cognitive paralysis. And finally, that paralysis forces a choice, which leads to the reinforcement phase, an inevitable loss. Let's break each of these down. Stage 1 is the setup. This is where the manipulator gives you those two demands that just can't exist together. You know, things like, I need you to be more independent, but don't you dare make a decision without me. Or, tell me everything you're feeling, but don't be so emotional. Our brains are wired to look for logic and consistency. So when we're hit with these clashing directives, it triggers this intense mental stress called cognitive dissonance. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. You burn a ton of fuel, but you go absolutely nowhere. And that intense mental stress pushes you right into stage 2, trying to solve the unsolvable. Your mind just goes into overdrive. You spend massive amounts of energy trying to find some mythical third option, some brilliant solution that will magically satisfy both contradictory demands. You're analyzing every angle, replaying conversations. You're completely exhausting yourself in a desperate search for a way to win a game that was designed from the start to be unwinnable. And the inevitable result of all that frantic, useless searching is just profound psychological exhaustion. And we're not just talking about being tired. This is a deep, deep depletion of your mental and emotional batteries. Over time, this constant exhaustion creates something psychologists call learned helplessness. The person starts to genuinely believe that they are the problem, that they're just incapable of making the right choice. And that right there, that is the moment the manipulator gains total control. And that brings us to stage 3, the reinforcement. Exhausted and paralyzed, you eventually have to make a choice. You have to do something. But because both options were designed to be wrong, punishment is going to follow no matter what. If you chose to be spontaneous, you get punished for being inconsiderate. If you asked for approval first, you're punished for not being spontaneous enough. Either way, the manipulator's dominance is confirmed, and it reinforces your core belief: I lose no matter what I do. And just like that, the trap is reset, ready for the next round. So we've seen how the trap is built, and we've seen how the mechanism works. But the biggest question still hangs in the air. Why? What's the psychological fuel driving this whole destructive behavior? To really get it, we need to shift from the how to the why and look at the motivations of both the person setting the trap and the person caught inside it. And this slide really shows the two sides of that psychological coin. For the manipulator, it's all about ultimate dominance and supply security. The trap guarantees that they are always right, which keeps them in a constant position of power. The other person's confusion, their despair, their frantic efforts to please, that becomes the narcissistic supply that props up the manipulator's fragile ego. But on the other side, the target's vulnerability is something completely human: the need for cognitive closure. Our brains are hardwired to solve puzzles. We have this deep, innate drive to make sense of things. The manipulator basically weaponizes this very healthy, natural impulse by giving you an illogical puzzle that you feel compelled to solve, never realizing the puzzle itself is the weapon. All right, understanding how this all works is critical, but just knowing isn't enough. Now we get to the most important part of this whole explainer, giving you the actual tools you can use to dismantle this thing. This is how you stop playing the game. This is how you break free. Your toolkit for escape really comes down to 3 crucial steps in this order. First, you identify the double bind. Second, you refuse the premise. And third, you consult external reality. So let's start with step 1. Identifying the double bind is all about conscious awareness, right in the heat of the moment. You have to pause, cut through the mental fog, and just name the contradiction. You can say it to yourself: wait a minute, if I do X, I'll get in trouble for not doing Y. And if I do Y, I'll get in trouble for not doing X. This is an impossible situation. Just labeling the trap creates this crucial psychological distance. It pulls you out of the emotional chaos and lets you see the game for what it is. Now, once you've identified the trap, the second step is where you really take your power back. This quote on the screen, this is your tool. You state calmly and firmly, I will not make a decision where both outcomes are guaranteed to fail. Now, here's why that's so incredibly effective. That statement isn't an argument. It's not an invitation to negotiate. It's a boundary. You are not trying to solve their impossible problem for them. You are simply refusing to accept their problem as valid. You are effectively stepping right off their chessboard. You're showing them you see the game and you refuse to play. Okay, so identifying the trap and refusing to play, those are the internal steps. But there is a third absolutely vital external step: consult external reality. See, these traps need isolation to survive. The manipulator needs you to believe that their twisted logic is the only logic. The second you talk to a trusted friend, a family member, or a therapist and just ask, hey, does this make any sense to you? You shatter that isolation. Getting that external validation is a lifeline. It confirms you're not the crazy one, the situation is. By taking these 3 steps, you begin the final and most important stage of this journey, reclaiming your psychological autonomy. This isn't just about escaping a bad situation, it's about rebuilding trust in your own mind. So let's bring all of this together. The first and most critical thing to really let sink in is that paradox traps are, by their very design, impossible situations. They are not a test of your intelligence or your love or your worth. They are simply a rigged game. And these traps are designed with cold precision for one single purpose: for you to lose. We've seen exactly how it works. The conflicting mandates are specifically built to cause cognitive paralysis. That paralysis drains you. It forces you into an inevitable loss, which then reinforces your sense of helplessness, locking the whole destructive cycle in place. And all of that leads us to the single most empowering truth in this entire dynamic. The only winning move is not to play. Awareness is what breaks the loop. The moment you can identify the double bind and refuse to engage with it, you are no longer a player in their game. You're an observer who is choosing to walk away from the board. You are not losing. You are asserting your autonomy. You are winning yourself back. By refusing to participate in the unwinnable, you aren't left with a loss. You're left with an open space, a space where your energy, your intellect, and your decisions are finally your own again. And so we'll leave you with one final, forward-looking question. What will you do with your freedom?